Kentucky should call Rick Barnes. Yay, nay.
Nay. I'm going to fight you on it. Yay, nay. Now, will they?
Why?
Well, okay.
I mean, seriously, I haven't used this one in a while, but Tracy Morgan.
That's crazy.
I mean,
hey now.
That was a great call by me. You get a guy who is, I'm not saying it's good for Tennessee, but you're in a position where you can go make a really good hire. You've proven you'll go get the top transfer portal in the class. You've proven that you can make an Elite Eight. You could go make a good hire. If Rick Barnes walked away, it wouldn't be the end of the world. If I'm Kentucky, I'm calling somebody that's familiar with the SEC, that is the exact opposite of John Calipari, and I can't think of anybody that is more different than John Calipari. I think it would be a very, very smart hire by Kentucky.
Here's the thing with Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes' coaching style, though, Dave. So, like, a school of Kentucky, like, you take a great coach, you say, oh, they go to Kentucky where they can get all the talent, and then they can go win a national title. The flaw in that with a coach like Rick Barnes is his style is kind of immune to the prestige of the school that he's at, if that makes sense, because Rick Barnes' style is not conducive to be better with better recruits. It's better with experience and developing players, because Rick Barnes is all about a philosophy and developing the talent. That's why when he was at Texas, he consistently, actually, and at Tennessee too, a couple of times, he would have returning talent everywhere and then plug a 5-star in somewhere and would actually regress from the previous year, because his system wouldn't mesh with the 5-star. That Kentucky wants you to get those 5-stars still. Now, you don't have to do what Calipari did, one and done's all over, but they want you to do what maybe Kansas does. And part of that is you've got to work your 5-stars in with your experience. Rick Barnes has never been great about that, and it's not his fault. He has a philosophy, and he's going to make his players abide to that philosophy no matter what, regardless of the star power. And many one and dones don't want to abide by it because they're focused on getting to the NBA, or at the very least, maybe what they can do is held back a little bit in college because Rick Barnes focuses so much on developing them and aspects of their game that won't necessarily make them shine the way they may want to shine going forward.
Two names brought up by Smoky Mountain Red, and I think he's absolutely correct. Kentucky should call Bruce Pearl first. He should call Nate Oats first, because they are younger. And I don't want to be an ageist here, but the reason I think Barnes would work so well is because he's so much different from Calipari. Both of those guys are somewhat similar to Calipari. Pearl, in that he has NCAA issues, both in that they're kind of smooth cats, to use, hustler, use a name. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but that's not an anti-Calipari, which they may be wanting to get away from. So what does the perfect candidate look like to you for Kentucky? Brought to you by Boundless Moving, who are actually going to move Calipari out of Lexington and straight into Fayetteville. Probably not. But their 2-hour minimum to turnkey operations would certainly take care of John Calipari. They absolutely have you covered, and they could also move Kim Caldwell as well. So just to East Tennessee and a Charlotte location as well. Boundless Moving. That's Boundless Moving. Again, from their 2-hour minimum to turnkey operations, they have you covered. What does the perfect candidate at Kentucky look like? Because you just can't go hire, no offense to Kim Caldwell, you can't go hire a Kim Caldwell at Kentucky. You have to have somebody like a Wright, a Self, that type of panache. Don't you? If you don't, Kentucky fans are not going to be happy from the get.
I mean, why can't you hire a Kim Caldwell at that level? Sometimes you can find those coaches. And I mean, where was Rick Pitino when he was hired at Kentucky? I forget the school. Was it Providence?
Yeah, he was at Providence. He had success. But actually, he and Calipari, now that you say it, were both up and comers.
Calipari was a little more established at Memphis because he played in it for a couple of national titles. But yeah, Pitino was Providence. And so I don't think you have to. I'm one of those where I think good coaches can come out of a lot of places. I mean, heck, Georgia's got a dynasty in football right now. They hired a defensive coordinator as their head coach. And
I'll tell you this, Smoky Mountain Red's throwing heat. As slimy as Oats appears, dude knows his X's and O's. Man, he does. He's I don't know that he's not I don't like him because of the gun thing, and I'll probably never change my stance on that from last year. But Caleb, I'm not sure he's not one of the brightest young basketball coaches, regardless of NBA, NCAA, whatever, in the country.
And guess who found him? You know who found him?
Who found him?
Danny White. When he was at Buffalo. Danny White knows what he's doing. No, I think Nate Oats. I would probably go for Nate Oats. The problem with Bruce Pearl, because I want to compare them for a minute. Now, back in 2006, I think Kentucky did make a run at Bruce Pearl when Tubby Smith left, when Bruce Pearl was at Tennessee, and Pearl rejected Kentucky because he wanted to stay at Tennessee. Pearl came out and basically said, he straight up said, I'm not leaving Tennessee before Kentucky made an offer, but I think they wanted to make an offer. And I actually believe they would have because they settled on Billy Gillispie. They'd have taken Bruce Pearl if they could have gotten him over Billy Gillispie. And
I have to agree with you. I think that when he said it, it wasn't true. But as the way things played out, it might have been true.
Right. I don't think he didn't say they were making a run at him. I think I remember he was on PTI. Tubby was gone, and then they were just like, Bruce, what would you do if Kentucky called? And he just straight up said, I wouldn't go. The job's not finished at Tennessee. I don't want to go. I believe him on that. But I'm just going to be honest with you guys. And I believe he would not have left Tennessee for Kentucky if they made an offer. But
I do too. He feels like an underdog type.
He
doesn't want to be the favorite, doesn't he?
But I think he would leave Auburn for Kentucky because I don't think he likes living in Auburn. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't think he likes it down there. And I don't blame him because I don't like it in Auburn. I don't like Auburn, the town. It's a terrible town. Sorry, Auburn fans. You guys have the worst town in the SEC, you and Mississippi State fans.
Lexington's not grand. As a matter of fact,
it's a little less one-horse town than Auburn.
When you really compare SEC towns, I want to stick on basketball for a second. Okay, so do we know what the thumbnail sketch of the Kentucky coach looks like? Is he a younger guy? Is he an up-and-comer? Is he already proven to some extent? Is it Jay Wright? Do they pull him off TV? That would be a huge, huge win. I tell you the guy I don't want it to be if you're a Tennessee fan. And I said this last week. Kentucky thinks Pitino wants to come back. No joke. I think Pitino does too, Travis. I don't think Kentucky would take him. But that's a whole different story. You hope that Kentucky doesn't call Nate Oats. Because what do you think that Danny White's thinking in the next 3 years when Rick Barnes finally retires? Who's he going to call?
That's a good question. You're right. You're right. That's a great point.
He's just basically sitting down there and at the minor league level, so to speak, waiting to get called up. And he's winning championships at AA.
I want to bring this up real quick because I got a couple other candidates. But also the thing with the reason Bruce Pearl won't happen is because of his age. You're right. Bruce Pearl is younger than Barnes in age. He's older than Barnes in terms of health. So I'm just going to say it. So Bruce Pearl would be way too risky, but here's the name to look at, Dave. What if they could get Billy Donovan to come back to college?
Why does that do anything? That doesn't do anything for me. Why does that do anything for you?
Billy Donovan's a 2-time national champion at Florida. He is.
I'm so sorry. I was thinking of Billy Gillispie. Yes.
Oh, yes. No, Billy Donovan.
Yeah, no. Call Billy Donovan now.
Like, open up write him a blank check, right?
Yes.
Like, that would be, would Kentucky hiring Billy Donovan be a bigger home run hire than when Alabama got Nick Saban?
It would be comparable, except for the fact that this is South and that's football. But in the pure news sense of it, it would be very comparable.
Well, what I mean is, when I mean home run, I mean guaranteed success, no matter what. Like, yes. Guaranteed level of success. Do you think Billy Donovan could have Saban level success at Kentucky?
Give me anybody but Saban. Can you give me Dean Smith level? Can you give me?
I'm going Saban. Can Billy Donovan win 6 national championships at Kentucky?
I'm not going to take anybody to win 6 or 7 titles. I'm just not going to do that.